First, we will draw hills and the horizon line in our landscape. We can think of dividing our landscape into sections we call our foreground, middle ground, and background. You can think about this space we are creating as areas that are here, near, and far. Here represents the area closest to the viewer at the bottom of the paper. Near is the space that is in the middle of the paper, and far is the space that's furthest away from the viewer, or the background of our paper. Draw a few large hills near the bottom of our paper. These will be the closest hills to our viewer and should be tall. Add a large hill up near the center of your paper. Lastly, add a curved horizontal line near the top of your paper. This horizontal line is where the ground meets the sky. This will represent the land and furthest away from the viewer. Lastly, you can see how I've divided my main foreground, middle ground, and horizon background line into several more hills in these sections. Because you want these hills to be rolling or round hills, use curved lines rather than straight lines. Less is more with these sections. Divide each of these hills into 2 or 3 smaller sections, each making nice and thick as I am going here with a Sharpie marker. Now let's bring in the tricks. Adding lines beginning with the here section in the foreground. Choose a few sections to add curved parallel lines representing plowed fields. These lines should have plenty of space between them. Move to the near section or the middle ground and repeat the process adding lines. Your lines in this section should be a bit closer together. And then finally to the far section or background. Lines in this section should be much closer. One of folk art's goals is to show a culture's tradition and values. We learned from our featured folk artist, Mattie Lou O'Kelley, that she tried to depict her neighborhood by showing the simple life in all its beauty. Begin your details by using either the worksheet and the resources or maybe houses in your neighborhood to draw houses and buildings where you live. Keep them simple using geometric shapes like rectangles and squares. This is an excellent opportunity to tuck behind some hills overlapping to show a sense of depth and space. Lastly, don't forget your size relationship, larger in the front and smaller in the back. Begin adding other things like trees. Begin with the area in the foreground in the here section and make your trees nice and big. Begin with the trunk and then add thinner branches to give the trees this folk art feel. Add dots for branches representing leaves. To continue adding trees to the near section or middle ground, they would be much smaller. And then moving away to the farther, they would be the smallest. Other details you can add, like fencing or animals to your landscape, would still represent this larger to smaller. Artists normally use smart color decisions when creating their work of art. Use the color wheel to choose 2 to 3 analogous colors. Analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. I began by coloring small details with colored pencils. You could also use crayons to help you keep your detail in these small areas. Then move on to your watercolor paints, keeping that analogous color palette you selected. Try not to paint areas directly next to each other with the same color. I am so excited to see how you finish up your artwork inspired by Mattie Lou O'Kelley. You guys have fun.